Hey, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This is Yaya Diamond with Dream Chasers Radio. Whoop, whoop. What's up, guys? Oh my gosh, I have a great show for you today, and it is a great day, as it always is. We are 6 feet over and still working everything out, okay? When you're dead and gone, that's when everything is done. So never, ever give up on your dreams. Ever, 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 okay? All right, so we have an amazing author here with us today, and I want to welcome him to the show. It's Jason. Cisto, is your last name?
Cisto, correct.
Oh, Cisto, what's up?
What's going on?
How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm doing good. I'm hanging in there. Like I said, I'm 6 feet over. I'm still here.
I like that. I like that phrase. I've never heard that. 6 feet over.
I'm 6 feet over.
I like that.
I'm going to remain there for as long as I possibly can.
For sure.
So tell me about yourself.
Sure. So I'm just a local author in Connecticut. I live here with my girlfriend and our son. It's our lovely home. And yes, this is like a passion project that I've been working on for a little while now. I'm actually a mailman. That's my full-time job. So I walk around and deliver mail all day. And that gives me time to think about some of these ideas. And then I bartend 2 nights a week at a local restaurant. And so busy, busy, busy.
Wow, wow. So you said that you're a mailman and it gives you time to think. What do you think on your mail route?
Well, so that's a good question. So I'd written my first book and I just finished my second book. And, I would just walk around for like a month. I think it was probably May. And every day I would just, have time to think. And, that's one of the benefits of that job is there's no manager looking over you. You're kind of out there on your own. So I would just think about, the characters I wanted or the theme that I wanted and how I wanted to look and feel. And so when it came time to actually write the book, I was able to write it in like a half an hour, because I had it all, kind of ready to go. But that was just one part of my process there.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. To me, walking and thinking is like, if I don't have my phone with me to record what I'm thinking, I lose it. Do you find that you kind of like, you have to write it down or you have to speak it or put it somewhere or you'll lose it?
That's a great observation. I actually use the notes feature in my iPhone, and it's like a good idea for any project that I'm working on. But, as it pertains to this one, if I have like a good idea or a good plot, I do stop and put it down because I always think I'll remember this for later. And I think a lot of people deal with this and then later comes and I have no idea what it was. So I do take, and it takes 2 seconds. I can do like dictation into the phone and, just have it pretty quickly. So for me, there's no excuse not to log that stuff because I've lost more than I've remembered,
Yeah, yeah. Let me ask you this really deep question. Okay, so in the middle of the night, 3 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, you wake up from this dream. It's an amazing dream. Do you write that dream down if you want to remember it? Do you dictate it? Do you keep your phone there? I mean, because I know that, you can lose it, right? I mean, you're walking, that's good. You're awake, you can kind of get it done. But what about in the middle of your sleep?
Great question. So I'm 36 and probably since I was 6, I like lucid dream 5 crazy dreams every night. My whole life. It's like an amusement park when I go to sleep. So I say that to say, I go through like phases. Sometimes I'll wake up and I used to write it down, but I'm like, you're not that cognizant. So I will use the dictation in the phone. For me personally, because I kind of vividly dream so often, I don't do it all the time because it's, for me personally, I just dream every night a lot, very deeply. So sometimes I will if I really was jolted or, felt compelled to, but not every time because I would never sleep.
Wow, wow. I barely dream. So, I mean, when I have a dream, I have to write it down.
Well,
I'm like, oh, I dreamed last night. Oh.
No, what? I've read articles where you probably do dream, you just don't remember it. That's the difference.
I don't remember them.
Yeah, I don't know what to. I don't know what the answer is to that. These are
I
things
know. That's but when I do, I have to dictate it into the phone. Wow. So, okay. So did this current book come from a dream or from a walk?
Well, so with my books, the original one I wrote for my oldest nephew, Aaron, to whom it's dedicated for. And so the goal was always to, the second book would be for my next. I'm doing it all in like, I'm an ageist. I'm doing it by the oldest to youngest. So the first one was for my oldest nephew. The one that I just wrote is for my next nephew. The third one's going to be for my son, who I want to make like a consultant and even a co-author on it. So he can, have some accolades and be involved in the process. And the fourth one will be for my niece. And then after that, I can kind of open it up to, my friends' kids that refer to me as an uncle, or even just a general, the main title of my book is Buddy Barker. So maybe, Buddy Barker, does Christmas, Buddy Barker's first day of school. So then it can kind of open to generalized, not so much
Wow.
dedicated themes.
Okay. So why the order?
Well, the first one I wrote for my first nephew in like 20. So this is good, about people that sometimes give up on a dream or procrastinate about it, or even for young or any aged authors that maybe have something and, you beat yourself up about, letting life kind of get in the way. This is 2022. I wrote this book initially, I think in like 2013. And I had no idea what I was doing. I just felt compelled to do it. And I wrote it in about a week on my parents' deck with my laptop. And so now all these years later, here we are. So, if you have something, yeah, it's good to get it done as quickly as possible. But, sometimes, time is relative. I think things in life happen when they're supposed to happen, So I think for me, this happened when I was in a good place, and now I'm a father. So, and my child fits into the age group of the book. So it's kind of it's more beautiful for me that it happened now than then.
That's nice. So why children's books? I mean, you could have done teenage books. You could have done any kind of other book. So why the children's book? Why did you start there?
Well, at the time, my nephew I think he had just turned 4. So it just fit for his, for his age group. I read a really interesting thing about, Tolkien, who wrote The Lord of the Rings and The Hobbits and all those books. And when he started, he wrote The Hobbit for his kids. And he continued to write for his kids, but as his kids got older, the subject matter changed to match the kids' age. So I think for me, because I started in this, 3 years old to 8+ age range space, I think for like continuity and a series, I've kind of stayed in that space. Plus, it's very simple and it's very fun. I don't have to do like research and development and it's like Dr. Seuss. Like there's no rhyme or reason sometimes. It's fun.
Yeah, definitely. I was going to ask you if you have fun doing it too.
Oh yeah, it's. I tell I have a lot of supporters here in Connecticut and all over the place, and it's been really really nice to be received that way. And it's fun because, some people have, passions or side hustles or businesses or entrepreneurial things. And sometimes, I don't want to discredit anybody's passion, but sometimes if someone's selling something, you're kind of unengaged or it's a little forced or not your thing. But these are kids' books. It's happy, it's fun, it's sweet, it's colorful. So it's a lot of fun to work on them and see people enjoy them and market them and all that. It's, it's fun.
Yeah, I hear you. I like the color. So, okay, what was the best part of writing these books for yourself? I mean, I love cartoons. All right, I am the cartoon queen. All right, I love the comics on Sundays and the newspapers and stuff like that. So, I mean, what was your best moment writing these books that made you laugh? Like, oh my gosh, this is so cute.
So in the first book, I kind of did like an ode to like Dr. Seuss. So there's a moment in the first book, The Search for Wendi the Whale, where the main character and his friend can't find his pet whale. And so like in the mind of a child, they look in very obscure places. They look under the sofa, behind the toaster, and in weird places. So that was like a fun moment in that one for me. And then in the second one, my nephew, who the second one is dedicated to, Noah, who I refer to as Champ. It's pretty amazing. He's like a child prodigy drummer. He's only 11 and he plays with, adults and in adult bands, and he's really talented. So I called him to kind of consult for that book about, drumming terms, besides, a drum roll, so there's,
Mhm.
so in that one, he was able to tell me, these terms that I had never heard of. So it was fun to
Wow.
get him involved in that one. And the secondary character in this book is modeled after my friend's son. So having my illustrator cartoonize and bring him to life and see that in the book, and that was like a fun moment for me too.
That is so cool. Wow. And
Yeah.
having him in the family was just a blessing. Literally, you didn't have to go out and ask anybody else. It was like right there. That's just so cool. That's so
Well,
cool.
he was
So
he was he was suspicious too. He goes, "Why do you want to know?" And I said, "It's just for my book." I said, "Yes, this is for your book." So he was even more happy.
good, good. Well, yeah, kids can be, they ask the darndest questions.
They're like little detectives sometimes. It's
They
hard to
are.
hard to
Oh
get
my
one over
gosh.
on them.
Oh my gosh. So okay, now you have your current book. What is the name of that book?
So this one is called Buddy Barker Learns to Share.
Put that back
Um,
up for me for a
yeah,
second.
yeah, there you go.
I love books like that. Is that like a soft cover, like glossy kind of?
Cor-
Oh my gosh,
Exactly,
I love it.
exactly. Yep, it's an 8x8, which I felt, even as a child reading like the Berenstain Bears or
Hmm.
Clifford the Big Red Dog, like Pete the Cat, those were like the size where it's not too big and it's not too small. So when I want like the bright, you nailed it, glossy cover. It's exactly what it is.
I love those books. I
I,
still love glossy cover
yeah,
books.
me too. Because the
So
hardcover too, it can be, it's like, it's a little too much. This is perfect.
yeah, I like that. I do. It depends on which kind of hardcover you're talking about. If it's always been hardcover, then you expect it to continue that way. But I mean, the cover books are just so cute, so nice, and the kids, you can kind of like go like this with it, and they can play with
Exactly,
it. Yeah,
exactly.
so it's a little bit different. I never really picked up the hardcover books as much as I did the soft ones, but they do wear and tear a lot more. But I like it because I can literally sleep. I fell asleep with books in my
Exactly.
hands, and the soft cover books didn't bother me. Yeah,
Right,
definitely. I
right.
love it.
Well,
I love it. So go ahead.
I was just going to say, my nephews and son might use this as a weapon too. So I think soft color cover, kind of takes the blunt of that
I forgot
blow.
about that. I
They give it
forgot
one of these.
about that. I did that.
So that's a factor too, I think, for me as well.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Instead of getting smacked upside the head with a hardcover book, you got
Yeah,
smacked. Yeah, you were
yeah,
okay. Yeah, I got you. I got you. That's a good observation right
it's
there. Oh
true.
my gosh. Wow, wow. So tell me about, okay, so do you have any books to go with the book? So like, like some people like have chapter was it number one, number two, the sequel, the this or that. Are you doing that?
Sure. So my first editor that I hired for the first book, when I had written it all those years ago, I didn't know anything. So I would chapter and all that. And so what she advised me of, and she's very decorated and accomplished. She's written like, tons of books and edited thousands and worked for Scholastic and Disney. She said for the age range that I'm in, you don't do chapters.
Mm.
So we omitted the chapters. But what these books are is called continued reading. So that's like those other books I mentioned, Pete the Cat, whatever, where it's continued reading. So it's not just one of one, because kids, they'll watch the same. My son will watch the same movie 15 times, or we'll read him the same book 15 times, but eventually they want more of the same thing. So it is a series in a sense where it is continued reading. And then I also, my illustrator and
You
I work.
froze. Hold on.
Oh,
You're frozen.
uh-oh.
Okay, there you go.
Am I moving?
You're moving.
Okay.
Don't worry about that. I'm gonna put your books up. I already got
Okay.
that planned.
Cool. Great.
Okay, go ahead.
Smart. So it is continued reading. And then my illustrator and I, we have done an activity book that correlates with my first book. This is the
Okay.
first one right here.
Oh,
And
cute.
thank you. The cover is the same, but instead of it being an 8x8, it's an 8.5x11, which is like the size of a sheet of paper. So that one has like coloring pages, word searches, mazes, all, which pictures, what's different, which picture doesn't match, stuff like that. So that has the same cover. It's just larger and says activity book. So that directly correlates with the first book, but it has standalone value as well, just as a fun coloring and activity book.
That is so cool. I love
Yeah.
it. I love it. So are you gonna, I mean, are you gonna continue in children's books after your son, after the last one's done? Are you gonna continue with children's books, or do you have plans to do other things?
Well, I like to think of myself as a creative person, so I'm always working on other projects. A dear friend of mine, we're working on a script right now, which is the complete opposite of this space. I enjoy to write and write, short stories or poetry. I like music as well, just on the intake, not on the outtake. But I would like to write these books, for as long as I feel it's a right fit for me. You know, I get a lot of compliments about, the books, and I appreciate it. But for me personally, it's pretty, once I have the idea, it's pretty fun and easy to do. I mean, they're about 30 pages. And again, I'm not, I don't have to do, research and development. It's really fun. And as long as there's like a kind central theme that parents or guardians and kids can resonate with, I feel like I'm doing something, positive, and that's been
Yeah.
a real blessing in my life, and hopefully for other people.
What is the most difficult thing that you've had to concur with, writing the book, or even publishing the book, or finding someone to help you publish the book?
Right. Well, I was very lucky to stumble across Upwork.com, which was not available when I initially had written the first book. And what I was doing is I was just looking for an editor, and this woman, her name is Brooke. She did a fantastic job. She kept popping up in all my Google searches, and ironically, she lives here in Connecticut as well. And so the only way I was able to contact her was by creating an Upwork profile. For those that don't know, Upwork is like a LinkedIn or a Facebook, but for like literary arts, marketing, digital, things like that, where you post a job, people bid on it, you can vet out, who you like, and then you hire. It's a lovely website. I've been very grateful to use it. So finding the people wasn't too bad once I found that website. I think, to be honest, the hardest part for me is uploading the content to KDP, which is Amazon owns Kindle. So they have a joint company called KDP Publications. That's what people can use to be self-published and not go the traditional route of being obtained by a publication company. But getting the manuscript onto KDP, for me personally, who's a bit technologically challenged, that's the only part of the process that I really don't like at all. You just have to get things really into a parameter. There's a lot of, size requirements and stuff. And my illustrator, Patrick, has been very patient and helpful with resizing and reformatting and PDFs and all these things. So that's the only part I truly despise. But other than that, it's a lot of fun. But there's got to be something challenging, I suppose,
Definitely, definitely. So what kind of advice do you give other writers, maybe even people who want to do, what you're doing today, but they just don't have the guts?
Sure. So I do a lot of, where I live here, I do a lot of craft fairs and book events and charitable things and stuff like that, or Girl Scout readings. And I always bump into people, whether they're parents or whomever, and they go, I've always wanted to write this book. I just don't know where to begin. I guess the advice always depends, but in terms of starting, I think starting just, I think devoting a little bit of time every day. I would start out with, just for me personally, the basic structure. What's the theme? I mean, all children's books need a theme, and that can be whatever, you feel, led to do. And even like myself with my other career, my jobs and whatever, I just try to devote a little bit of time. And I think you can attest this too. As long as you're devoting a little bit of time to something every day, you kind of like chip away. So it's not this huge, insurmountable task. And now you've kind of broken it down. So I definitely, and then I also, as a writer, or really a writing enthusiast, I think it's like anything. It's like anything, you need practice at. If you want to be good at something, you have to continue. So, even if you want to write, let's say you want to write a children's book, I would just, do some form of writing, whether it's an exercise or a poem or a letter or something, just so your brain is in literature mode. That helps for people too. So that would be my advice in the writing process. And then in terms of publication, That's the wonderful thing about KDP is, you can upload to there and you can have it, uploaded to Amazon and even Amazon Europe, Asia, everywhere, Africa. I was really, one of the cool milestones for me was when I received reviews on my first book. I had one from New Zealand and one from the UK. And that was like a big moment for me where I was like, wow, I've kind of gotten out of my own pond and I'm, somewhere else. And not so much for accolades, but that, wow, someone is enjoying or learning from this book that is literally on the other side of the world with New Zealand. So that was cool for me.
That is so cool. That is really cool. That is really cool. Thank you so much for that advice. If you guys are having, any issues and, find that team, like you said, Upwork is great. So, okay. So how can people reach you if they want to, look at your book or they want to get in contact with you? How do they do that?
Sure. So I do have a website. It's pretty simple. It's buddybarkerbooks.com. And it's just a pretty simple website, but it has links to my email, which is jay @buddybarkerbooks.com. And I also, in my private Facebook, I DM people. I'm on Instagram as well, with Buddy Barker Books with underscores between the first and the second word. So like PMs and DMs work as well. And the email is probably the best route, but I always love to talk to people. And I met a lady at one show and we kind of had a little back and forth. And even when people have questions, I love answering because I didn't have the answers and I still don't have them all. But if what I've learned can kind of shorten someone else's path to, the process or publication, that's like a great way for me to, give back and help because, I could have used some of it at the time myself,
I hear you. Me too.
Right. We all can.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think everybody does. Oh, man. Thank you so very much for being on the show. I so much appreciate it, Jason. And it's just been such a pleasure having you on the show. Is there anything we missed today that we didn't talk about that you'd like to tell people?
No, I really appreciate you having me. This was fun and a new experience for me too. I was a little nervous, but you made me very comfortable. So this was great. Yeah, but please feel free to check them out. I guess the only thing I would add is the central theme for the first book is listening to your parents or guardians, which I think is a central theme all parents go through. And the theme for the second and new book is learns to share, which again, I think all kids can use a reminder of. So, if this fits someone, I hope that they find it and the kids enjoy it and learn from it.
Awesome. Well, thank you again, Jason, so much for
Thank
being
you.
on the show.
Likewise.
And thank you guys so much for tuning in. We're going to have his information of where you can get the books, the website and all that stuff, even his Instagram. We got that too. So we're going to have that right in the description box below. And if you're watching on TV, just go ahead and go to, I guess, let me think, a bunch of different places. So just type in Yaya Diamond and put in his name, which is going to be the Buddy, what is it?
buddybarkerbooks.com.
Okay, so it's going to be buddybarkerbooks.com or Buddy Barker. And you will find this episode. Definitely. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. And don't forget to dare to be different. Until next time, guys. Bye.
I dare to be different. I dare.